Isn't that a beautiful sight? Nothing better than feeding cows. And the snow doesn't bother me too much. We've been having a Chinook the last couple of days, and tonight it's just cold enough for it to snow and not rain. So, but I normally feed after lunch, but I went to get my beet pulp this morning and the sugar factory was shut down. So, or they weren't slicing beets, so there wasn't any. There was a little bit of pressed pulp, but a lot, you know, it's kind of the cleanup stuff. And then I got a big bucket full that's just all molasses, because the operators forgot to shut off the molasses that goes into the beet pulp before it goes in the dryer. So I brought the tandem right out here and dumped it. There's even some dry in there, and there's some tailings. So those are, well, actually that's part of a tailings. This is just from the knives. This is the slicer. That's supposed to be a cassette. But then some of that's dark from molasses, and some of that's some stuff that was partly dry, that when they empty the dryer, eventually it gets to where they have to just shut off the gas, and then they just, once it gets, then they don't want to start a fire, so then they shut off the gas, and then what comes out is they can, it'll come out dry enough, and then it gets to where it's a little tough, and then they just dump it on the floor, and then they take it out for cow feed instead of pelleting it. Well, then it's cow feed too, but so I've made a bunch of piles with it. But like I said, so that's why it's darker than it normally is. And then here's, that's a beet chunk, that's a tailing. But like I said, there was molasses all over it, so it smells really, really good. And like I said, this snow deal, it'll all be gone tonight. The wind's supposed to go crazy. Well, I guess 50 mile an hour, that's enough for me. So as long as we don't get any amount of snow, it won't blow into piles. But it's supposed to warm up in the night, so it'll all melt. Anyhow, it looks pretty to me, because it's not 40 below, so that's pretty. So I just got another green feed bale to put out. I used to unroll them all by hand. I have a roller I'd pull behind the tractor, and then I'd unroll them by hand, and that's kind of made me tough enough. People didn't want to push me around, we'll just say. But now with that grapple fork, I just spread them out. Here is the quack grass, even looks good. This is from the lowland here, so this is all quack grass. So cows will eat that too. So, just doesn't produce much. So got the strings cut off there, so I'll go unroll it. This is one of those things I should have worn my glasses if I was gonna show you guys feeding. So, like I said, this works pretty good. Rougher than heck right now. Like I said, this is nice. You don't have to chop it all up, and it'd be faster if I had a nice little hay buster. But like I said, the cows know how to chew stuff up, and it keeps them busy all day. Like I said, that's the one thing about it, is if all your stuff is chopped up, you gotta be careful on limit feeding them and feeding them in bunks. And this long stuff though, you can just feed it on the ground, and the ground's not froze, but it's not muddy, so they don't they pretty much clean it up. And when you own the land that it's on, that you're feeding on, what they don't clean up ends up being fertilizer. I don't like to overdo that part because, you know, like they say there's no wasted nutrients. It goes back, well, that's true, but when you've had to pay big money for fertilizer and chemical and irrigation and everything else, there is wasted nutrients, because I could have just left it on the ground it was at rather than hauling it here. So we're in the pivot corner right now, so that way we can get a little extra manure and urine. I had manure spread here, but like I said, this little bit more isn't going to hurt anything. Like I said, that manure spread, and that's an expensive deal. You know, it costs you a lot of money to spread manure. Even if you do it yourself, you know, manure spreaders are not free, and you gotta have someone that runs them, and you gotta pull them with a tractor, or you have to, if you have a truck mounted one, you know, like I said, it all costs money. So I try to spread as much manure as I can, with the cows doing it for themselves. But like last year, we got snowed in hard and cold early, and the cows never went out in the field. But like I said, I love looking at the cows. I've got a great uncle that just passed away, and he's had a pretty hard go for years. He just hung on because he loved his wife so much he didn't want to leave her. But he's passed away now, and his funeral's this week. But he was a heavy-duty mechanic and kind of good at everything you could do with your hands, mechanical-wise, and housing, construction, everything you could think of. He could do it. But he would watch the YouTube videos I made, so he knew what was going on the farm. When I used to work for 20 years. I worked full-time off the farm, and when my dad had cancer, I guess it was his second time with his cancer diagnosis, he had to get high-dose chemo. And Lawrence, he would come out and check cows for me while I was at work, and you know, help me feed and help me do everything. And like I said, and you know, all he got out of the deal was a handshake, and he did this every single day. This was not just, you know, for one weekend. He came out for months and months, every single day, and he'd check the cows at calving time. He'd check the cows during the day. He'd help me feed, and like I said, he just helped me do everything. So, but like I said, the last 3 years he's pretty much been at home, but he would watch the YouTube videos and see how the cows were doing, and he'd have something to talk about when Dad would go and visit him, and he knew what we were doing and how the corn looked. And so anyhow, I love watching the cows, but we'll just show you this green feed here. So like I said, it turned out pretty good. There's some dark leaves from it getting bleached out, but it's pretty nice feed. And like I said, the tests on it are really good. So it tested out really good. So with what the cows have to eat, I don't have to supplement them with a whole bunch. The little bit of alfalfa they graze, it all works out. So it's really good feed. Probably the best oats I've ever put up, you know, on the feed test. Ted did a video on feed testing and how important it is, and it is important. So we even test the beet pulp. So anyhow, cows are pretty content. They're all fat and sassy, and when winter gets tough, they won't be gaining weight anymore. They'll just hold on to it. So I like to have them with a little condition on if I can. And on my last video I talked about how Elba got stuck in the lead up to the squeeze, and that's only because the posts are too close there. Like I said, and it's just how a cow's shaped. Cows are shaped different than bulls, and we put 2,700 pound bulls in the squeeze all the time, but when the cow's 7 feet wide, she can only squish down so big, you know, or so small, I guess, not so big. But so like I said, we just had to pull a pin and pull a panel open, and we still vaccinated her. But I meant to keep her out, but I didn't tell that to Wyatt, so. But them old show cows are pretty darn big. See, those ones there, those are only 1,200 pounders there. You know, 1,450. 1,250, 1,600, you know, and you can see Elba ahead of us, you know. She's a big old tank. So you can see there's a little size difference. Hey, Elba. But like I said, she was right full, so like I said, she was quite wide. And like I said, had she been wild, she would have made it through. She just got to where the posts are closer together, and she didn't want to go any further. And I wasn't going to sit there and hot shot her, so we just took the panels apart, let her out. So anyhow, seeing as I'm still self-conscious about how I look, my scarred up nose and my skin graft, I'm not going to turn the camera around, so save you guys that. So anyhow, keep your cows fed, they'll keep you fed. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and have yourselves a great day. Take care.